I can't get over how many brine shrimp I'm going to get out of this. Look at them all swimming about there. I cannot believe how good this wee thing is. Easy now, folks. I was shopping about online because I was considering setting up a brine shrimp hatchery. You've probably seen the likes of them before. Plastic bottles with an air tube running in them, a wee lamp over the top. Looks a wee bit like a science experiment, but then I found this. An easy brine shrimp hatchery made by a company called Hobby, and I managed to find the eggs that I needed too. Now this particular brand of eggs or cysts comes pre-made with the salt already in it, so you don't have to worry about measuring out your salt either. Looking right easy, isn't it? So we're going to give it a go and see how effective it is at raising baby brine shrimp. Now this hatchery cost me £17.48 online. Not too dear, I wouldn't have said, especially when it saves all the hassle of trying to build a hatchery yourself. Comes with the leaflet, as you would expect, in several different languages. It's a nice wee size and a nice shape, nice design, and then really there's only 4 components to it. You've got the harvesting container here. It's got a wee sieve at the bottom so you can withdraw the baby brine shrimp and leave the water behind. Then there's the main container with the lid and the wee divider inside. There's ridges inside the container. Now that is to keep the eggs, the cysts and the shrimp separated. We don't really want to be putting the eggs in the tank. The harvesting basket sits in the top there, and then you do also get a wee scoop just for measuring out your eggs if that's what you're going to do. I'm going to use that for a different reason, which I'll show you in a minute. Easy enough to open it, 2 fingers in the middle and lift the top off, and then you can see the fill line there. Obviously it's important to put the right amount of water inside of it. Now first time round I used mineral water. Honestly I did that because it was sitting there on the table next to me, but it will become significant later as I show you. So that's a 500 milliliter bottle, and I needed to top it up a wee bit, so we're talking about 800 milliliters to bring it up to the fill line. Next we're going to add a wee sprinkle of bicarbonate of soda. I think it's called baking soda in the US, just to help buffer the water a little bit. Then we're going to place our divider. Now you can see on the bottom it's made with ridges, so it should only go one way up, and they help to keep it in the right position. The idea is that the baby brine shrimp can swim up and over and under the ridges and make their way to the centre of the hatchery, leaving the cysts behind. The reason they're going to make their way towards the middle is because they're going to be attracted by the light that shines through the hole in the lid. Now the packet says you're supposed to use 16 grams per 500 millilitres of water. Now there's 195 grams in the packet, so if you divide that by 16 grams that you're looking for, comes out about 12.1 something. I know we added a wee bit more water, but I'm not being dead exact here. However, what that does mean is that you should get about 12 lots out of each bag that you buy. You're going to be buying the bags of eggs anyway, so I think the bag was about 8-9 quid, so well worth it. You saw me using the scoop there just to mix it around a wee bit. Make sure the salt is mixed into the water and the eggs are moved about a bit. And that's us really. Quick tidy up. And now we're ready to put it in position. Now you can see the lid there has an open and a closed label on it. It doesn't actually lock the lid into place or anything like that, but I will show you why that's significant. If you notice, there is a wee cutout in the side of the hatchery, and the open section allows light to penetrate through. I'll try and give you an angle here so you can see for yourself. Hope that you can see the eggs moving along in the water there. that means that your shrimp are going to be attracted in that direction, and that's not what we want. We want them to be attracted into the middle, like we said. They're all going to be moving their way towards the harvesting scoop, and then we can lift them out easily, can't we? It says on the packet they should take between 24 and 48 hours to hatch, and they like to be kept a bit warmer. Now, it does get a bit chilly in my house of a night time, so I've placed it on the top of this fluval flex here, as you can see, and you want to sit it as horizontally as you can. This tank does keep nice and warm, so I think it's going to do the job, and we'll see in a day or two. Look at this, 24 hours later, and you can see how many baby brine shrimp are swimming away in there. Look. I was expecting it to take longer. I'm really impressed with how well this has worked. Millions of them there. Look, I just can't believe how good this thing actually performs. Now, a wee spoiler here, or a wee point of interest. The second time I did this, I used tap water, and it did seem to take the 48 hours for them to hatch, and I didn't seem to get quite as good a yield. I don't know if that's to do with what's in my water, but worth thinking about anyway. Maybe worth experimenting with that yourself. I had considered trying tank water, but then you don't always know what else is in the tank water, so probably better to go with a bottled water or the tap water. Anyway, I think results are speaking for themselves here. So the next thing to do is offering them to some fish and see how they like them. The harvesting system works flawlessly. Just grab the wee tab there and lift the scoop out, and there the baby brine shrimp are trapped in there perfectly. We'll drop some in with these Phoenix Rasbora here, and as you can see, they're on them straight away. Brine shrimp are just going to be an amazing food source for micro fish, fry, juvenile fish. They're an excellent first and nutritious food. Not only that, they also promote the hunting instinct in fish, so I dare say a bit more interesting for them and a wee bit more natural for them as well. We'll drop some in with these forktail rainbow fish, and again they're on them straight away. Look how excited they get. So I'm going to say it's been a great success. I think it's an amazing hatchery. Alright, you have to spend a couple of quid in the first place, but you're not messing about with sorting out water bottles with air lines sticking in them and a heat lamp on them constantly, which is of course using energy. The heat lamp, I think, is meant to provide some heat and also attract them towards the light, but you don't have to do that with this. Just set it up wherever you want, and as long as there's some light penetrating through the hole in the top, the baby brine shrimp are going to be attracted there. I do get some people like the DIY option, but if you're looking for an easy solution, then I think we found it here. Day 2, I was still pulling brine shrimp out of it. Day 3 and day 4 as well. Day 5 slightly less so I think that's when it kind of expires, but 5 days worth out of what we did there, I think that's a good return. As I said previously, if you're going to be buying the eggs anyway, once you've bought the hatchery, that's it. Maybe you've got a few more tanks, you want to buy 2 or 3 of them, but still quite cheap in my book. The one mistake I think I made was I set it up on the table and then moved it over to the flex, as you saw. And as I was moving it about, some of the cysts, some of the eggs did find their way into the middle there, which is not ideal. If I lift the lid off here, you can see some of what is floating about in the water there is brine shrimp, and some of it is the egg casings. But there's a simple solution to that. It's as easy as the second time I did it, I put the required amount of water in it first, then put it in position, then I added my bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, and then followed the rest of the process as we did before. Put the divider in, make sure it's the right way up and it's in the right position. And then measure out how much of the salt and egg mix that you require. And sprinkle that around the edges. The top of a tank might not be ideal for you, especially if you like to get into it quite a lot. But if you've got a warm shelf somewhere or something similar like that, well, you get the idea, eh? And there we go. The Brine Shrimp Hatchery made by Hobby. The eggs and salt mix were also by Hobby, but other brands are available, of course. A nice, sweet, easy method for raising baby brine shrimp if you're not into the DIY system. One of the other things I quite liked about it as well, it isn't too unsightly. If you share a home with people that aren't too into their fish keeping and don't really want to see kind of fish keeping science projects about the place, well, almost looks like an ornament, doesn't it? You can stash it away out of sight and it's barely noticeable. I'll leave you with one more feeding clip. These are Emerald Dwarf Rasbora, which are quite shy. That clump of moss at the back there is their home. There's about 16 in there, I think, and you only really see them at feeding time, but they're straight out as soon as the brine shrimp are put in the tank. Down the bottom there we've got our Scarlet Baddis. They can be fussy eaters. They much prefer live food, so an excellent food source for any fish like theirs as well.